Nobody saw this coming. And that's exactly what makes it so infuriating. You've been watching WWE long enough to know how this is supposed to go. The dominant champion holds court. The challenger puts up a respectable fight. Maybe it goes a little longer than expected, maybe there's a near fall or two that gets the crowd on their feet, and then the champion wins. Clean or dirty, it doesn't matter. The status quo is preserved. The machine keeps turning. Everyone goes home with the same pecking order they walked in with. That is what was supposed to happen when Bayley stepped up to challenge Rhea Ripley for the WWE Women's Championship on Raw. That is not what happened. What actually unfolded inside that ring was so shocking, so violently unexpected, so completely and utterly against everything the WWE booking machine had been telegraphing, that fans in that arena stood frozen for a full 3 seconds before their brains caught up with their eyes. 3 seconds of pure, stunned silence in a packed WWE arena. Do you understand how rare that is? That doesn't happen. That almost never happens. And yet there it was. And now, the women's division on Raw is sitting on top of a powder keg with a lit match dangling over it. Everything you thought you knew about this title picture. Throw it out. Because Bayley just walked into Rhea Ripley's house, looked mommy dead in the eyes, and did something that nobody, not the fans, not the analysts, not the people working in that building, was prepared for. You need to watch this entire video. Because the layers to what happened, what it means, and where this goes next are going to absolutely blow your mind. And I promise you, you are going to want to share this before you even finish watching. But hold on, before we tear this apart, if you are brand new to this channel, you picked the perfect moment to show up. Ring Rumble 1 is where we break down WWE without the corporate filter, without the fanboy bias, and without sugarcoating a single thing. If you want takes that actually respect your intelligence as a wrestling fan, hit that subscribe button right now and smash the bell so you never miss a video like this one. We cover the moments that matter, championship drama, shocking turns, backstage chaos, and we cover them first. Already subscribed? Perfect. Drop a comment below right now telling me your gut reaction when this moment happened on Raw. I will be in the comments reading every single one. Now let's get into it, because this is a lot to unpack. Let's start with what made this challenge so combustible from the very beginning, because the build-up to this match was being criminally underestimated by a large portion of the WWE fanbase, and that underestimation is exactly what made the payoff hit so hard. When Bayley set her sights on Rhea Ripley and the Women's Championship, the initial reaction from a huge chunk of the audience was skepticism. Not because Bayley isn't credible. She absolutely is, and we'll get to just how credible in a moment, but because the aura around Rhea Ripley as double champion had become almost mythological. Mommy had been operating at such a dominant, suffocating level that the idea of anyone seriously threatening her felt almost disrespectful to suggest out loud. That is the environment Bayley walked into. That is the mountain she chose to charge up. And here's what people keep forgetting about Bayley that the casual fan glosses over every single time. This woman is a generational talent. Full stop. The resume speaks for itself in a way that demands respect even from people who have never been her biggest supporters. Multiple championship reigns. WrestleMania moments. A character evolution from beloved babyface to manipulative, calculating role model that is genuinely one of the most impressive long-term character arcs in WWE in the past decade. Bayley has been in main event matches that defined entire pay-per-view cards. With the kind of methodical aggression that has made her one of the most dangerous competitors on the roster. Every time Bayley tried to build momentum, Rhea shut it down with authority, a reminder to everyone watching that this is her championship, her show, and her division. But then something started to shift. Bayley began finding openings that shouldn't have existed. Small cracks in Rhea's armor that she identified with the kind of ring intelligence that only comes from 15+ years of wrestling at the highest level. The crowd, which had largely come in expecting a competitive but ultimately one-sided affair, started stirring. The energy in that building began to change. People started sitting up straighter. The casual conversations happening in the cheap seats went quiet. Because Bayley wasn't just surviving. She was adapting, in real time, against the most dominant women's champion on the roster. And every near fall she generated hit like a thunderclap through that arena. The first one got a gasp. The second one made people jump out of their seats. By the third, the crowd was in a full frenzy, and the direction of this match was no longer remotely clear to anyone in that building. Then came the turn. The moment. The thing that nobody can stop talking about. What happened in the closing stretch of this match was so dramatically, violently unexpected that calling it a shocking turn feels like an understatement. The sequence of events, the way the momentum whiplashed, the decision that was made in that ring, it broke the audience's brain. And the aftermath, the immediate aftermath of what unfolded in those final minutes, left Raw in a state that the show has not been in for a very long time. I won't spell out every detail because you need to watch the footage if you haven't already, but what I will tell you is this: Bayley and Rhea Ripley did something in that closing stretch that will be in highlight reels for years. The kind of moment that defines a rivalry. The kind of moment that a fanbase points to when they explain why they never stopped watching professional wrestling even when it drove them absolutely crazy. Let's talk about the turn itself, because the reaction online has been split right down the middle, and that division is exactly what makes this so fascinating and so explosive. On one side, you have the fans who are absolutely furious. People who feel like this came out of nowhere, that it wasn't properly set up, that WWE once again made a massive decision without doing the necessary narrative groundwork. These fans aren't wrong to feel that way. The frustration is legitimate. When something this significant happens in a championship picture, it needs to feel earned, and for a portion of the audience, the speed and nature of this turn felt like WWE jumping ahead of itself. But then there's the other side. And this is the side that has me genuinely excited about where Raw goes from here. Because for a large and growing group of WWE fans, this shocking turn didn't feel cheap or random. It felt like the culmination of something that has been quietly bubbling beneath the surface for much longer than people realized. The seeds were there. The character motivations were there. Every title picture connected to what happened on Raw just got reshuffled. The woman who many people thought was a supporting character in someone else's story just inserted herself at the center of the most compelling narrative the women's division has had in a long time. The immediate question, the one every single person watching Raw is now asking, is what comes next? And the possibilities are genuinely dizzying. If the turn leads where it appears to be leading, Rhea Ripley's response is going to be one of the most important segments WWE books over the next several weeks. Because Mommy does not absorb a moment like this quietly. That is not who she is. That is not how this character operates. The retaliation, when it comes, and it is coming, is going to be personal in a way that lifts this rivalry to another level entirely. And Bayley's positioning coming out of this moment is fascinating. The crowd reaction in that building was complicated, exactly the way the best pro wrestling reactions should be. Not simply cheers, not simply boos, but something more complex and more interesting than either of those things. That kind of reaction, that moral ambiguity about where to place your allegiance, is the rarest and most valuable thing in professional wrestling. And Bayley is sitting right in the middle of it. Beyond just these two women, who else does this open the door for? Because in WWE, one massive shift in the title picture creates a chain reaction. Opportunities emerge. Alignments get reconsidered. People who were previously locked out of the conversation suddenly find themselves relevant again. The women's division on Raw was already stacked. After what happened on this episode, it is a powder keg. Tell me in the comments, where does this story go? What is the next move for Rhea? What is Bayley's endgame? And most importantly, who gets pulled into the orbit of this rivalry next? Give me your predictions and let's build this conversation. Here is the bottom line. What happened between Bayley and Rhea Ripley on Raw was not perfect. Nothing in professional wrestling ever is. There will be critiques, and some of those critiques are fair. But a moment this genuinely surprising, one that has the entire wrestling internet arguing, debating, and losing sleep, is precisely what this industry needs more of. Pro wrestling is at its best when it makes you feel something you weren't expecting to feel. When it earns a reaction that wasn't choreographed by weeks of obvious foreshadowing. When two performers walk into a ring and do something so compelling that it transcends the scripted nature of the product entirely and becomes something real in the gut of every single person watching. That happened on Raw, and Bayley and Rhea Ripley deserve every bit of credit for it. Share this video right now. Send it to every wrestling fan you know. Send it to the ones who said this match wasn't worth watching. Send it to the ones who counted Bayley out before the bell even rang. Because this story is far from over, and Ring Rumble 1 will be here for every single chapter of it. Like the video if this breakdown hit right. Subscribe if you haven't already. Bell icon, hit it. And I will see you in the next one. Nobody counts out the role model. Nobody.